After helping out Salt and Pepper with their restaurant, Kit and Mr. Sprinkle never thought they would get a day off. They wandered over to the nearest waypoint, paid the tax, and whisked away to Radisson. They wandered the whole of the Assyrian city, visiting various shops, tasting various foods, and tasting one strange liquid contained in a vial. The shopkeep said it was supposed to make you irresistible to the opposite sex, but nothing of the sort ever happened. It was likely just flavored water. Just when Kit was going to call it a day, she noticed a rather auspicious Assyrian flanked by two other Assyrians clad in armor. He'd met Kit's gaze, turned, and walked off with his guards. Kit narrowed her eyes and began to follow, signaling to Mr. Sprinkle to stay close behind her. The Assyrian led them down into the golem mines, a dead end by Kit's recollection, but he walked on. Finally, he stopped and placed his hand on the wall. Kit hid behind some rubble and watched him. A bright blue glow emanated from his hand, and suddenly a section of the wall disappeared. He looked behind him. While he did not see Kit, it's a little difficult to miss a large yak attempting to hide behind a small bit of rubble. He turned back toward the newly created entryway, walked on with his guards, and turned a corner. Kit and Mr. Sprinkle followed them through the entryway before it closed up. As Kit and Sprinkle walked through the rather narrow passageway, the faint sound of voices could be heard. Kit caught the last bit of dialogue. "The two behind me are with me. They're old friends." Kit and Sprinkle rounded the corner to see him looking back at her and smiling. Behind him was a human whose eyes were narrowed so much they may as well have been closed. He looked to be guarding a large door. The Assyrian beckoned Kit and Sprinkle closer, and a human guard pulled a lever, opening the large door. The Assyrian and his guards walked through at a slow pace, allowing Kit and Sprinkle to catch up. "Thanks," said Kit. "You're welcome, Kit," the stranger replied. "Do I know you?" The stranger chuckled in response. No, you don't know me, but your reputation certainly precedes you and your large friend. My name is Rabix Danaos. It is a pleasure. Please, walk with me." "What is this place?" Kit asked. "Oh, just a place of entertainment," Rabix replied. "It seems strange that one would have to hide this place if it's merely for entertainment." "Indeed. You will see soon enough." As Rabix led them onward toward a large opening, Kit heard what sounded like rushing water. As they walked closer to the opening, Kit realized instead it was the shouts of many people. The opening was the entrance to a large stadium filled with hundreds, if not thousands, of people of all races. Rabix gave a curt bow to Kit and said, "Excuse me, I have some business I must attend to. Please take this." Rabix handed Kit a slim sheet of paper. "Enjoy the show." Rabix smiled and walked back down the corridor, accompanied by his guards. Kit looked at the paper Rabix gave her. It was a voucher for food and drink. They walked to a railing lining the middle arena. Since there was no way there were any seats that accompany a large yak, they thought it best to just stay there and wait for this show Rabix mentioned. A few minutes later, the stadium darkened and shouting became loud whispers. A spotlight shone on the middle of the field, highlighting a brightly dressed human man. His voice boomed throughout the stadium, obviously amplified by magic. "Ladies and gentlemen of the world, thank you for joining us for tonight's major event. A special welcome to our VIP members sitting in the front rows." The announcer rambled off a list of names Kit had never heard of. After what seemed like forever, the announcer said, "And now, let's introduce our two challengers." The stadium erupted in shouts. He pointed to his left, and a spotlight shone where he pointed. A large bipedal golem was rising up on a round dais. Kit could hardly make it out, but it looked like there was an Assyrian next to it. The golem had a saw on its right arm, a large clamp on its left, and some sort of cannon mounted on its right shoulder. "In this corner, Tess, the Terrormancer, Keegag!" A mixture of boos and hurrahs came from the crowd. The announcer pointed to his right, another golem rising up in a spotlight. This golem had tracks instead of legs, a cannon on its left arm and a large hammer on its right. Next to it was another Assyrian. "And in this corner, the returning champion, Rabix the Ravager Danios!" The stadium erupted in shouting, easily drowning out those who were in favor of Tess. Kit raised an eyebrow at the mention of Rabix. "And now, without further ado, let the scrap fly!" The two golems roared to life and squared off, firing bits of metal, bashing, cutting, and grabbing each other. Tess's golem seemed to be in a bad spot and was pretty beat up. It began shaking violently and sparking. Suddenly, its shoulder-mounted cannon started firing off into the crowds, turning them into chickens. Kit and Mr. Sprinkle hurried down to the arena floor. By the time they got there, Tess's golem was hunched over with smoke billowing from it, and most of the VIP section was filled with chickens. "Kit!" someone shouted. Kit turned to see Rabbiks running up to her. "Kit, I can fix all of this, but I need your help. You're the resourceful type, right? I can make some modifications to my golem, but I need more iron. Do you think you can get me some?" "I'll do what I can," Kit said. During Kit's search for iron, she runs into you. "Adventurer, can you help me? I need help gathering iron ingots to help Rabbiks revert the chickens back to their normal selves. 5 iron ingots should be enough, I think."